For over 3,000 years, Egypt stood as one of the most powerful civilizations in the ancient world. But there was one era that shone brighter than all the rest, the period historians call Egypt's last golden age. This was the time of warrior pharaohs, legendary queens, towering temples, and vast wealth. A time when Egypt reached the height of its power, only to face challenges that would eventually bring it all down. This is the story of Egypt's final age of glory, the New Kingdom. The New Kingdom kicks off around 1550 BCE, right after Egypt managed to drive out the Hyksos invaders who had taken over the Nile Delta. The hero of this story is Pharaoh Ahmose, the founder of the 18th dynasty. He didn't just kick the invaders out. He restored Egypt's independence and set the stage for a brand new era of strength and confidence. But this time, the pharaohs weren't just content to sit back and defend their borders. They became conquerors. Egyptian armies began marching far beyond their traditional lands, pushing south into Nubia for its gold and north into the Levant. Egypt was no longer just a kingdom, it was transforming into an empire. This was a bold new strategy. Instead of waiting for threats to come to them, they decided to project power outwards, creating buffer zones and securing valuable trade routes. This aggressive expansion filled the state's treasury with tribute and resources, fueling a boom in construction, art, and culture that would define the era. The New Kingdom wasn't just a fresh start, it was a total reinvention of what it meant to be Egypt. The New Kingdom gave us some of the most famous and fascinating rulers in all of Egyptian history. Take Hatshepsut, for example. She was one of the very few women to rule as a full pharaoh, and her approach was brilliant. Instead of focusing on war, she expanded Egypt's wealth through trade. Her most famous achievement was a legendary expedition to the mysterious land of Punt, a place rich with exotic goods. Her ships returned laden with frankincense, myrrh, ebony, and heaps of gold, all of which enriched Egypt immensely. She was also a massive builder, leaving behind magnificent temples, including her stunning and unique mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, which still awes visitors today. After her came her stepson, Thutmose III. If Hatshepsut was the CEO, Thutmose III was the general. He's often called the Napoleon of Egypt, and for good reason. He led nearly 20 military campaigns throughout his reign, transforming the kingdom into a true, sprawling empire. His armies marched all over the Middle East, crushing rebellions and extending Egyptian influence further than ever before. He was a strategic genius, and his victories ensured a steady flow of tribute into Egypt's coffers for decades. And then, there was Amenhotep III, who presided over what was perhaps the absolute peak of Egypt's prosperity and artistic brilliance. During his reign, Egypt was so wealthy and peaceful that it could afford to focus on culture. Art reached new levels of sophistication. He commissioned colossal statues of himself, bigger than any that had come before, and built lavish, spectacular temples that were designed to broadcast Egypt's unparalleled wealth and power to the entire world. His time was a true golden age of diplomacy, art, and opulence. But not all pharaohs were content to just follow tradition. Amenhotep III's son, Amenhotep IV, would go on to shock the entire kingdom to its core. He's better known to history as Akhenaten, and he sparked a religious revolution. He completely abandoned the worship of Egypt's entire pantheon of traditional gods Amun-Ra, Osiris, Isis, all of them. Instead, he declared that there was only one true god, a deity called the Aten, represented as the physical disk of the sun. This was one of the first, if not the first, recorded attempts at monotheism in human history. It was a radical, earth-shattering idea for the time. To solidify his new religion, Akhenaten built an entirely new capital city from scratch in the desert, calling it Akhetaten, which means horizon of the Aten. The art style changed dramatically, becoming more realistic and sometimes even strangely elongated. But this revolution didn't sit well with the people or the powerful priesthood of the old gods. It created deep unrest throughout the kingdom. After Akhenaten's death, his radical changes were quickly undone. His successors, including the famous boy king Tutankhamun, restored the old gods and traditions. The priests of Amun-Ra regained their power, and they went to great lengths to erase Akhenaten's name and his heresy from history, dismantling his temples and chiseling his image off monuments. If there's one ruler who truly embodies the power and grandeur of the New Kingdom, it has to be Ramses II, a man so legendary we simply call him Ramses the Great. His reign was incredibly long, lasting for over 60 years, and he used that time to leave his mark all over Egypt. He was a builder on an epic scale. His most famous projects are the incredible rock-cut temples of Abu Simbel, with their 4 colossal statues of himself guarding the entrance, designed to intimidate anyone approaching Egypt from the south. But Ramses wasn't just a builder, he was also a warrior. He led Egypt's armies into one of the most famous conflicts of the ancient world, the Battle of Kadesh. Here, the Egyptian Empire clashed with the other great superpower of the day, the Hittite Empire, in a massive chariot battle. Tens of thousands of men and thousands of chariots fought in a chaotic and brutal struggle. While Ramses famously claimed a stunning victory on his temple walls, most historians today believe the battle was more of an indecisive draw. But what happened next was truly groundbreaking. Years later, Ramses the Great and the Hittite king signed a peace treaty, agreeing to end the conflict and support each other. This is the world's first known international peace treaty, a copy of which is even on display at the United Nations today. Under Ramses, Egypt was a confident, stable, and monumental superpower. Yet, even the most glorious golden ages must eventually come to an end. After the incredibly long and stable reign of Ramses the Great, Egypt began to face a series of mounting challenges. His successors, many of whom were also named Ramses, struggled to hold on to the immense power he had wielded. The empire began to show cracks. One of the biggest threats came from the sea, a mysterious coalition of seafaring raiders, known to history only as the Sea Peoples, began launching massive invasions across the eastern Mediterranean. They toppled empires and sacked cities, and while Egypt managed to fight them off, the wars were incredibly costly and drained the treasury. At the same time, problems were brewing at home. Widespread corruption among officials, power struggles in the court, and economic troubles, including grain shortages and worker strikes, began to eat away at the state's foundations. The central authority of the pharaoh weakened. By around 1070 BCE, the strain was too much. The new kingdom officially collapsed, and Egypt entered another period of division and decline. Though it would continue for another 1,000 years, the country would never again reach the incredible heights of power, wealth, and influence it had enjoyed during its last golden age. Although Egypt's last golden age eventually faded into history, its incredible achievements still echo through the millennia. The legacy of the new kingdom is written in stone all across Egypt. The sprawling temple complexes of Karnak and Luxor are still some of the most breathtaking religious sites ever built. The hidden tombs in the Valley of the Kings, with their vibrant paintings and treasures intended for the afterlife, give us an intimate glimpse into the beliefs and wealth of these rulers. The colossal statues of pharaohs like Amenhotep III and Ramses the Great still stand as silent witnesses to an age of giants. From the bold leadership of a female pharaoh like Hatshepsut and the religious revolution of Akhenaten to the monumental legacy of Ramses the Great, the new kingdom remains one of the most dynamic and shining chapters in the long, epic story of ancient Egypt. The new kingdom was Egypt at its absolute peak, rich, powerful, and truly awe-inspiring. It was an era of conquest, diplomacy, and artistic genius, but like all great empires, it simply could not last forever. What remains is its enduring legacy, the monuments, the legends, and the timeless reminder of a civilization that once stood as a giant in the ancient world. If you enjoyed this journey into Egypt's last golden age, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more stories from our incredible shared history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.